Hi, everyone. Dr. Frankie Bashan here. How's it going? I hope everybody's doing really well, having a good summer, hanging in there with all the craziness in the world, and hopefully surrounded by good people. You've got a support system, which, I've talked about how important it is for us to have a solid support system around us. You don't need a big group. It could be one or two people, but you've got some peeps in your foxhole supporting you and that encourage you and aren't competitive with you and aren't like zapping all of your energy and just like vampiring you. And that you're getting out there and getting sunlight and staying active. So, so important. I know that many of us are indoors. I'm indoors so much for work, and I don't get many steps in because I live and work from home. So, getting my body moving and getting sunlight is so important. So, I want to hopefully encourage you and remind you to do that for yourself too. And for those of you that are new to my channel, I'm a clinical psychologist, board certified sex therapist, and the CEO of a large matchmaking firm that is based in the US, that's national. And I show up here every week to share things that I've learned over the years of practicing for over, 25 years. And things that come up in my office, questions that people ask repeatedly, I try to cover in my content videos. So today I'm going to talk about narcissists. This now has come up on TikTok like endlessly with all these armchair therapists throwing around all these terms and sometimes miseducating us. And I think I have a responsibility to speak to, what is a narcissist? What does narcissistic abuse look like? And so on. So we're just going to jump into that today. And please share your reactions, your thoughts, any criticisms, anything you don't agree with. I'd love to hear it all. So, and I really try to respond to everybody's posts. So definitely comment and also share. If there's anybody in your life that you think would benefit from my topic, please go ahead and share and subscribe. So thanks to those subscribers that are already regulars to my channel. And for those of you that are new, just click that little bell below and hit all notifications, and you'll get, notified of when my latest videos get dropped. And that happens 2 to 3 times a week. So thanks for being here with me and growing with me and learning. And let's just do this. So what do you need to know about narcissists and narcissistic abuse? If you're on Instagram or TikTok, you may have been served videos about identifying or recovering from narcissistic abuse or cutting ties with the narcissistic person in your life. Maybe the description of narcissists and narcissistic abuse may have sounded familiar to you, and you're wondering if this is something you should look into further. Today, I'm going to share what you need to know about narcissistic abuse and how to navigate situations that relate to it. What are narcissism and narcissistic personality disorder, respectively? What are they? Although the term narcissistic or narcissist is often thrown around in a broad and colloquial sense, there is a difference between someone with narcissistic traits or who comes across as narcissistic in social settings and someone with a clinical diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder. Individuals who may be experienced as narcissists in social contexts are often generally self-involved, conceited, or inconsiderate of others. They may seem to talk about only about themselves in conversation or turn every topic back to their own experiences. They may hold a very high opinion of themselves or their work and assume others do too. They may be thoughtless of or openly uninterested in how their actions will affect others in their lives, or they may downplay others' feelings. Narcissistic personality disorder may include these traits, but also involves a variety of other external signs and internal symptoms of mental illness. More than a difficult personality, a personality disorder is a mental health condition where people have a lifelong pattern of seeing themselves and reacting to others in ways that cause problems. Narcissistic personality disorder is considered a cluster B personality disorder, alongside antisocial personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, and histrionic personality disorder. Disorders that cause people to act in ways that are erratic, overly dramatic, or disproportional to the situation. Cluster B personality disorders are often understood by experts as stemming from some degree of developmental trauma. Someone with narcissistic personality disorder may exhibit having an exaggerated sense of self importance, assuming that they are the first priority of others in their lives or organizations they belong to. They may be preoccupied by fantasies of importance and power, fixated on achieving higher leadership roles or positions of power, or obsessed with achieving higher status in social or professional situations. They may feel deserving of special attention or treatment, being unwilling to wait in lines or suffer the same mild inconveniences as others, have extreme difficulty with empathy or compassion for others, struggling to imagine how others might feel or take into account others' you know, personal experiences, struggle to see others as truly separate individuals, assuming that others in their lives share the exact same beliefs or attitudes as they do, or struggling to conceptualize the experiences of others that diverge from their own. They may oscillate between extreme self importance and extreme self loathing or shame, having meltdowns, or even attempting self harm. They may exhibit an extreme overreaction to perceived criticism or dislike, either lashing out or melting down with shame and self loathing at even mild constructive criticism. Persistent envy of others who they believe have experiences or items that they deserve, and or they believe that others are envious of them and may be out to take things from them or threatening them in some way. Whereas garden variety narcissists may be egotistical, inconsiderate, or selfish of others, people with narcissistic personality disorder are marked by a genuine inability to fully conceptualize the personhood of others and may struggle to even really understand that others in their life have feelings that are actually separate from theirs, let alone empathize with them. Because narcissistic personality disorder is a mental illness predicated in some degree of developmental trauma, it also has an element of shame and self loathing that's not generally seen with garden variety narcissists. What is narcissistic abuse? Narcissistic abuse is a hot topic on social media and in popular discourse right now, a term used to describe abuse, violence, control, or manipulation from a narcissistic partner or intimate person in your life. People may associate it specifically with an initial phase of love bombing or later instances of gaslighting. Psychotherapists who argue for narcissistic abuse say its hallmarks include seduction, intimidation, humiliation, and belittling. When contextualizing concepts like narcissistic abuse, it's important to underscore that there are no diagnoses, personality disorders, or mental illnesses that make you inherently abusive. There's no group of people that's ontologically harmful to others. Abuse in intimate partnerships is a function of complex factors, but mostly importantly, material power dynamics. It doesn't flow automatically from the diagnoses or identities of anyone involved. It's entirely possible and actually very common for one person to abuse another with zero pre existing mental health dynamics at play. Many experts question whether narcissistic abuse is a distinct phenomenon, separate from intimate partner abuse as a whole, and some question whether it's helpful to delineate it separately as a product of personality disorder. Labeling something as a disorder implies a mental illness that can't be controlled. Abusers can control their behavior, says Lisa Aronson Fontes, who is the author of Invisible Chains: Overcoming Coercive Control in Your Intimate Relationship. It's also important to distinguish between abusive and coercive dynamics and bad or toxic relationships. Abusive and coercive control are predicated upon establishing an intentional dynamic of power and control, leveraging a power differential within the relationship to control how a partner behaves, dresses, who they associate with, keeps them from, leaving the relationship. It's a way of controlling them. It's entirely possible to treat a partner badly or have a toxic relationship without constituting abuse. Relationships can be bad without being abusive. This truism may apply to many narcissists who can be selfish, inconsiderate, or disrespectful to their partners without abusing them via establishing intentional patterns of power and control. That said, cluster B personality disorders do have features that can inhibit someone's success with interpersonal dynamics. And while mental illness doesn't make you ontologically evil, it also doesn't make you a helpless child without agency or ability to control your actions. If you're worried about patterns of control and abuse in your relationship or elsewhere in your life, the best thing to do is seek qualified help and support, regardless of what diagnoses your partner may or may not have. What should I do if I think my relationship includes narcissistic abuse? If your relationship or family connection includes violation of personal privacy, like going through phones, emails, or journals, being isolated or discouraged from seeing friends, family, or loved ones, rules or arguments over what you wear or how you present your own body, being threatened with violence, abandonment, or social consequences when your partner is upset, fear of angering your partner out of concern about what they'll do, denial of access to money or resources that are rightfully yours, being insulted, belittled, humiliated, or intimidated, prevented from us accessing medication, accessibility devices, or accommodations that you need, name calling, shaming, or intentionally embarrassing you, telling you your perception of events is consistently inaccurate, or suggesting you may be crazy or unreliable. It's important you talk honestly with someone in your life as soon as possible, ideally, a professional, licensed therapist, someone who's qualified, who has experience with trauma and abuse and, personality disorders. And most therapists, psychologists, licensed therapists have plenty of experience in these areas. If you think your partner or someone else you're close to may be a narcissist, if they seem consistently aggrandizing, lacking empathy, they demand special treatment, and they accuse others of being out to get them or jealous of them, or react in extreme ways to mild criticism, it's also advisable to talk to a therapist or a qualified counselor. Whether abuse is present in the dynamic or not, getting support from a professional can help you navigate this challenging dynamic and decide how you want to proceed. It's so hard to deal with somebody who has a B diagnosis, who has features, right? They may, like I said earlier, may be subclinical. They may have some traits that are narcissistic, but they aren't actually. They wouldn't be labeled with a diagnosis of narcissism or narcissistic personality disorder. But those traits keep coming up and it's hard to navigate. You want to get help from a professional who understands it and knows how to best support you in maintaining peace in your relationship or figuring out how to support you in removing yourself from a dangerous situation or something that could evolve into something really dangerous. So that's what I got for you all today. And take good care of yourselves. Thanks for being here and growing with me. Kisses, hugs, and I will see you next week.